I grew up insanely angry. I guess I hated the world. A lot of fights out of school, turned to drugs at a really young age. Because of my past, that I found myself not really valuing myself in any way. My past was my prison. When you have that victimhood mentality, you always think that the world is against you. When you love yourself enough to be around yourself, and I think that's a beautiful place to be. People rely on other people to make them feel loved. They say money doesn't buy happiness. It does. You just got to give it away. I want people to get out of the rat race. My main goals is to help people get into a position where they're not having to rely on their 9 to 5 anymore. I want to get to a point where I'm able to build homeless shelters, drug rehabilitation centers, domestic violence shelters. Your life matters. You matter. Every single person on this earth matters. Times will get better.
Before we jump into today's episode, I have a small favor to ask from you. 85% of listeners are actually not subscribed to the channel. I would love to get that to 50%. So can you do me a quick favor? If you've enjoyed any of the podcasts, any of the content that I've put out, please hit the subscribe button. It honestly helps me so much. It helps this channel in growing bigger. And as you've seen, as the channel grows, the guests grow as well, which means I can provide more value to you, the listener. Thank you and enjoy today's episode. Johnny, welcome to the Betar Project Podcast, man. Thank you so much for making the trip out here.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, the reason you're on here today is I was scrolling through social media and I seen a post and it was about your homelessness, your journey of homelessness. And I was like, this guy seems interesting and I just need to reach out. And you're like, yeah, man, I'm keen. So that was like, what, 2 weeks ago? And now you're here.
Yeah, I saw Colin on here.
Oh, do you know
Colin?
Yeah,
I actually sponsor him for boxing.
Oh, really?
My business Car Pump sponsored. And when I saw that, I was like, man, this looks sick. You have some really good content on it as well, man. So I just, when you reached out, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Would absolutely love it. So you're doing good stuff on me, man.
Awesome. Dude, when I was scrolling last night doing a bit of research, there was this post that stood out for me and it was, for so long, my past was my prison, but now it is my passport. What does myself and the listeners need to know about yourself to better understand the man that sits in front of me today?
Where do I start, mate? Look, I obviously we all go through a bit of stuff when we're children, but I grew up in a pretty hostile home with my dad, and what he done to us, like my family stuff, is a little bit off. But yeah, so I grew up in a very hostile home. My mum, God bless her, man, is an incredible woman. She went through hell and back and protected us and all that stuff like that. But because of my childhood, I grew up insanely angry, I guess I hated the world, you could probably say.
Did you get into a lot of fights at school?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
a lot of fights in school, a lot of fights out of school, turned to drugs at a really young age. I found myself incredibly really homeless at about the age of 14. And then from there, turned to drugs, a lot of sort of things that I shouldn't be doing. And then from there, mate, it was just a lifelong struggle, I guess you could call it. Found myself always trying to get better, couldn't get better. And it was because of my past that I found myself not really valuing myself in any way, shape or form. And because when you don't value yourself, you don't really care what happens to you. So I think that's what, when I say that about my past was my prison, is because I had a narrative about myself that I wasn't worthy. And when you have that narrative about yourself that you're not worthy, then you never get anywhere in life, because you always automatically think, why do I even bother? Because I'm always going to end up where I always am now, and that's nowhere.
Did you feel like a victim of your?
Absolutely, 100%, definitely. And when you have that victimhood mentality, you always think that the world is against you. You always think that bad things are going to happen to you. And when you speak that into existence, that always comes true.
You mentioned your upbringing being hostile and your dad was abusive. Like, what exactly happened in your childhood to create that trauma, and then for you to end up homeless at 14? Like, that's such a young age. And I sit here now and think about when I was 14. Like, I had a loving family. Yeah, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad, but he always loved us and provided for us, and we had a roof over our head all the time. It's crazy to think that you at the age of 14, you found yourself on the streets.
Yeah. Look, I think when there's any sense of violence prevalent in a child's, I guess, upbringing, it's going to impact them in a negative connotation, you know what I mean? And I think my dad was, like, he's got his own trauma, so I don't really hate him or anything like that. I think everyone no one ever goes out to intentionally hurt anybody, and that's the thing. Like, when we hurt people, we do it out of our own trauma. So for me, I don't have anything really against him, but what he'd done to us wasn't very pleasant, you know what I mean? And that, then as a child, you automatically think to yourself that there's something wrong with me, and without realizing that the way that people are treating you isn't a reflection of you, it's a reflection of their own insecurities and their own self-worth. So I grew up with a really low sense of self-worth, I guess you'd call it, because the people around me that were meant to protect me and meant to love me didn't do their job. They actually done the opposite. So where my safe space was meant to be at home was actually probably a place that was far from safe. So when we grow up in that hostile environment, we automatically think there's something wrong with us. And when we think there's something wrong with us, we push everybody away in our lives. And I was just a very angry kid.
You mentioned now having the awareness that your dad had his own traumas. Is that of recent you've come into that awareness and maybe had a bit of empathy for him towards what happened? Because for me, as I said, I don't have the best relationship with my dad, and he has his own traumas. And for so long, I kind of played victim, and I resented him, and I had anger towards him. I knew he loved me, but the way he treated me, and it wasn't physically, it was more so emotionally, with words, it affected me growing up. A lack of self-confidence, self-worth. I felt lost. I felt different. And it wasn't till last year when I started to dive into it and unpack it all. And I was like, as a parent, you're just doing the best with the tools that you have. And if your parents weren't the best parents either, and they passed on their traumas to you, and that older generation, they didn't have the tools to be able to work through their traumas.
Yep.
It was more so just suck it up, work through it. And that's why he is very much so closed off. And in saying that, now myself having a daughter, I see him with my daughter, I'm like, you would never like that with me. It's like a totally different person. I'm like, are you my dad? Which I mentioned before with the phone call. Yeah, it's interesting to see how they react in different situations. And then once you have that awareness and understand, like, hey, like everyone goes through their own shit. If you go through life having having anger towards that person, it doesn't really affect them per se. It affects you.
Absolutely. And I think what you just said there is so true. It's like people, especially a lot of people in this world, is like when somebody hurts them, they they have this anger and this resentment, towards them. And they hate them with so much passion, but they don't realize that it's actually doing them more harm than it is the other person.
Mm.
Like when you're unforgiving, like I'm not saying, look, when I say forgive somebody, I don't mean reconnection. Reconnection and forgiveness is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Look, if you hurt me, I can forgive you. It doesn't mean I need to reconnect with you.
That's it.
So that's step one for me, is like understanding that the older generation is a completely different generation to us. They didn't have psychologists. They didn't have the help that we have right now. They don't have a lot of the knowledge that we have right now. But at the same time, it doesn't discount what I went through. So my dad has his own traumas. He probably went through a lot of trauma himself as a child. And then he didn't know how to then, I guess, regulate his emotions and all that sort of stuff. And he took it out on us. But the beautiful thing about, I think, the life that I've lived and where I've come from and to where I am now is that I've realized that my bloodline has been waiting for somebody like me for the whole time.
To break the cycle.
To break the cycle. So my children are never going to experience, my future children, hopefully have something.
Yeah.
Will never experience what I had experienced, because I've said to myself that I'll never do what my dad done to me to my children.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding, firstly, forgiveness is good because it's actually good for me. Doesn't matter about them, because it makes me a calmer person, makes me a better person, and makes me more loving to not only people around me, but to myself, and understanding that the way that he treated me isn't actually a reflection of me. It's actually a reflection of him. It takes a lot of the, I guess, unloving feeling I have towards myself. And it took a long, long time. So in 2017 is when I changed my life around. But 3, 4, 5 years afterwards, I still struggled with self-identity.
Yeah.
Because I went from being, I guess, where I was and hating myself so much to being to a place where I was going to church every single weekend and everyone's like, God loves you, you're a good person, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel that about yourself? Like, I hate myself still. And to being now where I'm actually getting into a place where I could sit by myself for a day or two and like it doesn't really bother me, because when you love yourself enough to be around yourself, then I think that's a beautiful place to be. So you're okay being by yourself. And I think that's what probably COVID done was probably the best thing for me, is that we were spending so much time by ourselves. I learned to love myself and love my own company, which was incredible.
Yeah. You have to love yourself before you can truly love someone else.
Absolutely. How are you meant to love somebody else if you don't love yourself?
Because then you just become dependent, and it's not a healthy dynamic within the relationship. And then if you were to not love yourself and go into a relationship, what does that do? It continues to cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, people rely on other people to make them feel loved.
Yeah.
And say I'm in a relationship with somebody and I'm relying on them to love me and to make me feel better about myself with their love. If they're having a bad day and they speak to me poorly, what's going to happen to myself? I'm going to feel crap about myself, because their actions towards me are like are sort of saying, hey, you're not worthy again. But if I love myself, I can understand. I'm not meaning it in an egotistical way, I love myself, I think I'm the best.
Yeah.
No, I mean it that you love the ins and outs of yourself, and you're good with who you are, and you're getting better every single day, and you're making yourself a better person. That's probably the best part. But my self-worth isn't reflective of how they make me feel. It's that I know who I am. I know I'm a good person. If they speak to me poorly, I know that that's not because I'm a bad person. It's because they're just having a bad day. So I think that's the most powerful thing that I've realized in the last 3 to 4 years, is that I am worthy, I am resilient, I am strong, and I have a place on this earth, man. And if anyone's listening to this and they feel like they're not worthy and they don't have a place on this earth, I put a post up today on my Instagram, is that there's been over 117 billion people on this earth from start to finish. That's how much they reckon there is. And none of them have been like you. There's not been one person that's been the same. 117 billion people. It just shows how unique and beautiful every single person is on this earth. I think it's just so like incredible to think like that.
It is. And I heard there was some statistics of you actually being born. It was like, I forget.
1 in 400.
Yeah.
The chances of you being born.
That is crazy, eh?
And that's not even with you with the same DNA. That's just like chances of life, 1 in 400 billion. But if you narrow it down to your parents meeting and everything like that, and for you becoming as you are, the statistics are even higher. It's ridiculous. It's actually insane. Like, to think that we are human beings, we're living this life, and we had to fight every single odds. Even as sperm, we had to fight against every single odd to get to where we were, and to be able to be produced into an egg or whatever it is, and to be born is insane. It's actually incredible. So understanding that life is a gift every single day has brought me so much joy.
It really puts life into perspective, eh?
Absolutely.
What's your relationship like now with your dad? You don't have one? Out of choice?
Yeah, out of choice, absolutely. Because, how do I say this nicely? When somebody chooses, I guess, to not acknowledge their actions towards somebody, I think it becomes a little bit of a grey area. Like I said, you can forgive, doesn't mean you have to reconnect.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to take accountability for the things that they've done to you and the trauma that they've caused you, absolutely, you can reconnect and have a sense of a relationship with them. But when somebody chooses to not acknowledge what they've done and how they've treated you, it's a bit hard, I think.
Yeah. You have to take personal responsibility for your actions.
Absolutely. And that comes with self-awareness.
In a way, are you sitting here today, do you feel grateful for your upbringing though, because it's made you into who you are today?
Like, I had somebody ask me the other week, would you change anything in your life? And I said, no. They're like, why? You've been through so much stuff. And yeah, I have been through a lot, but at the end of the day, it's made me who I am. It's made me have a lot of compassion for a lot of people. And I think I want to be as strong as I am today without the past that I've gone through. I think the most beautiful saying I think that I've ever heard, and I think it's so reflective of my life, is that no one will ever understand the level of violence it took for me to be this soft. And I think that's such a reflection of me. Like, I've gone through so much trauma and so much pain and so much. I've been in fights a lot of the time, and I've been through so much physical abuse and all that sort of stuff. But no one will ever understand what it took for me to be this soft.
What did it take for you to be this soft?
Look, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life.
As we all have.
Yeah. I've been a very violent person at times. I've been through a lot of violence myself as a child. But I never want anybody to ever leave my presence now without feeling like they are amazing. I look at life and interactions with people, it's almost like a stock exchange, right? When there's value on a business, the stocks go up and there's people sort of backing it, all that sort of stuff. And when it's not, the market value of it crashes, right? If I treat you poorly, you're going to think there's something wrong with you. So your price decreases.
Mm-hmm.
But if I make you feel good about yourself, your price increases. So I want everybody that sort of comes into my life, and even if it's a small or short interaction, I want them to feel good about themselves, because we live in a world now where there's a lot of hate, a lot of, I'll say a lot of pain, and people are just out for their own. And I don't like that about the world at the moment. But for me, I want everybody to make sure that they feel just good about themselves, because that's what we all deserve. We deserve to have somebody in our lives that makes us feel good about ourselves, makes us understand that we are special and that we are loved and we are cared for. And I hope that I can be that in people.
Definitely looks like you're doing that. And just by doing those even small gestures, if anyone listening, and even yourself, Jon, like, how good do you feel when someone does something nice for you or gives you a compliment, and then the next interaction you have, you feel good, and then you pass that on, and it's like that ripple effect.
Yeah.
Imagine every day we could do that, how much happier and fulfilled society would be.
That's so, you put it perfectly, mate. Like, we all have the ability to do it, but sometimes we choose not to.
Mm.
And like, you have the ability to go out and make somebody feel good and do all that sort of stuff, and I have the ability, and then they can pass it on to somebody else. But like I said before, we live in a world where there's a lot of hate, a lot of pain, and a lot of sort of trauma out there that is undealt with, so people are unable to do so. But so because of my past, because of my homelessness, I now go out and I help the homeless, right?
How fulfilling is that?
I feel it's almost selfish at times, honestly.
Why's that?
Because how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I've said this before on on this other podcast. It almost feels selfish, because when I go out and I help the homeless, man, it makes me feel so good, and I'm on like a high for like 2 or 3 days, because to see these people's faces that literally not have a single thing and how grateful they are to you, it's incredible, mate. Like, it really is. It's one of those things that I think I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. And I promised. So when I changed my life around, I started going to church, and my whole life just sort of shifted. I promised myself and I promised God that if I ever got out of where I was, that I would go back and help as many people as humanly possible. And at the moment, it's only a small start, but things are really happening. And we go out and we hand sleeping bags out to the homeless. And man, it's just, honestly, there's no feeling like it. There really isn't. It's such a incredible feeling.
The secret to living is given. I love that quote, man.
So true, so true. Look, they say money doesn't buy happiness. It does. You just got to give it away.
Yes.
That's the truth, mate. Like, if you're in a position to just do something small, say you see a homeless person out on the street, a lot of people just walk past and, I don't want to give them money. I don't want to give them I don't know what to give them. Buy them something. Just buy them food. Buy them like a bottle of water. Ask them what they want. Like, are they going to go buy drugs? Like, why are you stereotyping every single homeless person that they're going to go out and they're going to abuse drugs with the money that you're going to give them?
It's hard, because I've had an experience like that where some guys come up to me and go, hey, can I have some money? And I've given him money, and then 10 minutes later, I see him walk past with a bottle of grog. And it's like, dude, I thought you were going to go at least buy some water or some food, and he buys alcohol. So if you have a bad experience like that, it kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth and not want to give money.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
If you're in that position, would you not want to escape?
True. Yeah.
What do you think he's trying to do? The government does an okay job at helping the homeless, it's all good. They try to take the homeless out off the streets and they put them into housing, and that's okay. That's all stuff. But it's almost like a Band-Aid on like a gashing wound.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take somebody out of being homeless, that's okay. That's good that you're doing that. But you just throw them into a house and you don't do anything else after that, they're going to end up back homeless again.
They got to change up here.
You got to change their mind and the heart. Like, I've said this before, it's like the level of rejection these people feel is unheard of. We've all felt rejection in our life. Every single one of us has felt rejection, right? But the magnitude of the rejection that I felt when I was homeless will be like nothing. I'll never feel that rejection ever again. And it's taken so much work and so much therapy and all this sort of stuff to get past it, because you literally feel like you're invisible. You have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people walking past you every single day, like you're non-existent. And sometimes people abuse you, calling you an effing bum and swearing at you and spitting at you and all this sort of stuff. What that does to a human soul, mate, it's sometimes irreversible. So if you take people out and you put off the streets from that environment where they feel like they're nothing, they have nobody to turn to, they have no one to sort of reach out to, no one loves them, no one cares for them. Imagine that level of rejection. And then you just put them in a house and you just forget about them. Okay, here you go. What's going to happen? They're going to end up back on the streets because that's all they've ever known. That's all they think they're worthy of. And that's all that's going to happen to them. So they end up back out there. Yeah. The government needs to do more to help these people get better psychologically and physically. There's a saying that I love. It's that if you change somebody's external environment, but leave the internal environment the same, their external environment will always be replicated of their internal environment. They're always going to end up back homeless because that's all they think that they are. So we need to start getting better at changing the internal dialogue and internal environment.
How do we best do that?
We need more professionals.
Yeah.
We need more government aid to build up the next generation of professionals that are going to be able to help these people. We need more funding for that, obviously. But I think these days people are not wanting to do these sort of jobs because they're not paying enough. There's not enough incentive for them to go out there and do that. I don't like to be a psychologist or to be a psychiatrist or a therapist or something like that. I can't even imagine how much baggage these people must carry around all the time. Hearing people's stories, you'd have to properly disconnect yourself from any amount of feeling with these people, but it's hard to.
Yeah.
So that's what I think needs to happen. In order for us to change the homeless crisis that's happening, especially with the rise of prices with rent, and it's going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. It's actually only just going to get worse.
Yeah, it's stressful. Like, this is my first time being out of home and bills and food. And I was like, I walk out with 4 bags of shopping and it's like $250. And I'm like, crazy. I didn't even get much.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And it's hard, especially people from low socioeconomic areas. Like, how are they going to afford to look after themselves? That's how they do end up homeless a lot of the times.
Look, I'm going to sound like a bit of a conspiracy theorist here, and I hope I don't. But I think the goal of a recession like this, or the goal of the government right now, is to almost set have a reset. And there's no way a person that's living in a lower class society, or lower class sort of region of Sydney, or even a middle class citizen, that's going to be able to afford the rise in their mortgage rates. It's literally been designed to break the camel's back. That's what's happening right now. People are struggling. What people end up doing is that, hypothetically, you are living by the skims of your teeth. You've got a good paying job, you live in a decent home, you've got a decent car, you've got a family, all this sort of stuff. You get a pay rise, what's the first thing people do? They upgrade
their lifestyle.
And then what happens? You find yourself exactly in the same position that you were before, living by the skims of your teeth. That's what's happening. That's what so much of society is, like trying to keep up with the Joneses.
There's no education on finance.
There's not in school. That's what they need to be teaching us. Yeah. I literally only now, after 7 years or 6 years of changing my life around, am I starting to get better with my finances. No one teaches us about finances in life. You go to school, you do your assignments. We're learning about geography and algebra and all this sort of stuff. What about finances? What about businesses?
Real life lessons.
Exactly. Absolutely. We're not getting taught this stuff. For what reason?
And especially someone who comes from a low socioeconomic area, once they maybe get a bit of money, they may get a job. As soon as they get their money, because I haven't had it, I'm going to go spend it.
Mate, I can testify to that. Yeah. Absolutely. So I grew up in Campbelltown.
Yeah.
It's a low economic sort of region for sure, but especially 20 years ago. As soon as I had money, when I changed my life around, I was spending it on the stupidest of stuff. And I ended up losing everything because I was spending so much, So when I lost my business, I should have been in a way better financial position than I was, and I would have been able to handle that, but I wasn't, because as soon as I got money, I was spending it because I had no education on how to control my money and how to invest it better and all this sort of thing. The school system is so backdated. It's like from 70 years ago. there needs to be education out there on how to start businesses, how to be better with your finances and all this sort of thing. And I'm actually trying to build a program, or not a program, a course now that helps people, younger people and older people, on how to better. I want people to get out of the rat race. That's like one of my main goals, is to help people get into a position where they're not having to rely on their 9 to 5 anymore.
And I think that's why I love society now, and especially technology. Like, we're sitting here having this conversation about this, and people are going to listen to it, and they may not have the financial knowledge or stuff like that, but just by us speaking about it, like, oh, they're going to question themselves. Maybe I want to learn about this now. Maybe I want to improve my financials or my mindset. That's why I love podcasts and videos and social media to a degree. It's all a tool, but it's how you use it.
Yeah.
And coming back to the point, I actually love that point where you question me of, if you were in that position, would you escape through alcohol or drugs? And it gets me thinking about just general society. We're escaping every day on our phones, social media, Netflix. So who are we to sit here and judge them for alcohol and drugs when we're doing the same thing, just on a different level?
Your drug is probably Instagram. Yep. There's people out there that are doing like coke every single weekend. I'm not judging anybody. Just please don't think I'm judging you. But we can't judge one and not judge another. I don't judge anybody because I don't know what they're going through. I don't know their traumas. I don't know anything like that. We're all trying to escape something to a certain degree, I think. And for me, if that person wants to, if you can use some of my money to escape a little bit, then so be it. I'm not going to judge you for that. I'm not going to also instigate it. So for me, I rarely give homeless people money.
Yeah.
I usually give them like food or water or smokes or whatever it is. Like, I'm not somebody that smokes, but if he wants to smoke, then so be it. It's all good. I'm not going to judge you for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it really sort of frustrates me when when people, I guess, there's a stigma to homeless people. Are they going to spend it on drugs or alcohol or whatever it is?
See, I personally I'm mixed on that. I felt a lot of them do that, but now hearing your perspective on it, it really gets me thinking, like, that is why they're spending it on drugs out, because they're not happy, they're not fulfilled, they have no purpose, so they're just drinking or doing drugs to waste their life away.
Right, society does that as well, though.
Yeah.
What about when people have money, they go out every single weekend, they get drunk, they get drugs, they go out and party benders every single weekend and stuff like that, especially in the eastern suburbs. But people are doing that every single day, and we just, it's all good, it's just society. But when a homeless person does it, I'm not going to give them money, or they don't need my help or anything like that. Every single person in this world is trying to escape something internally, and that's what trauma does, man. Trauma makes us want to escape a little bit, right?
Exactly, but then it plays the point of, we're all individuals. Eventually we have to take personal responsibility for our life, right? Because you said, we need more psychologists and stuff out there, but the government could do that. But if the people that are homeless don't want to change, they're not going to change.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I love that point. I've said this before to a few people, is that if there's people that are homeless, and they really, look, some people that are homeless, they don't want to, they're happy where they are. And there's a lot of, I guess, mental health issues out there that are sort of playing their part with that. If you're a business owner and there's a homeless person that walks through the door for a job interview, and then there's a person that's not homeless that walks through the door for a job interview, which one are you going to be more inclined to hire?
I would say, looking from a business point of view, the person that's not homeless.
There you go. Say you're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
There's a person that's not homeless that comes in to look at the place, and there's a person that's homeless that comes in to look at the place. Which one are you more inclined to?
The person that's not homeless.
Okay. So we have this understanding that, if they want to change their life, they have the ability to do so.
But if they're trying to,
how are they going?
Society keeps knocking them down.
Yeah. There you go. So I want to get to a point where I'm able to build homeless shelters, drug rehabilitation centers, domestic violence shelters, and something that's really sort of on my heart massively lately is that I want to build recreational centers for children. Because if we're able to stop homelessness from the next generation coming up, the only thing that's going to put a massive stop for the homeless, like, moving forward.
Yeah, being preventative.
Yeah, prevent it before it happens. So I found out recently that in Indigenous communities in New South Wales and Australia, there are some cases where they're keeping children in juvenile detention centres because it's safer for them to be there than it is at home. and how heartbreaking that is.
Yeah, wow. I think the Indigenous community is, in a way, it's hard because I've spoken to people that are like Indigenous themselves, and the way they've explained it is, as an Indigenous person, they're walking in two lives, in two worlds, essentially. They're torn apart from their traditional way of life, and they're trying to conform or adapt to the Western type of world. And because it's not natural for them, they lead to crime, to drugs, to alcohol. And it is hard because the white people, the Western society, we continue to knock them down without understanding them.
Absolutely. And I think I feel for the Indigenous people of this of Australia, because there's an almost like you said, an identity crisis.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know much about what's happening with the Indigenous community in terms of that, but I definitely want to educate myself a lot more to understand the people a lot more, because it breaks my heart to see any person, I guess, stigmatized for their race or the way that they're living their life or anything like that. You know what I mean? So, if I'm able to help the next generation of Indigenous kids, then I want to do that. If I'm able to help any person of the next generation to become a better person and to sort of find their identity in a good way, then I want to be that. I want to be known for somebody that helps everybody and anybody. I don't want to be known for my money. I don't want to be known for anything else. If I leave this earth, I honestly want to be known for somebody that has helped as many people as humanly possible. And I think I want to really sort of begin to educate myself a lot more about the Indigenous community of Australia, so I understand their feelings and their needs and who they are a lot more.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially since we're here in Australia, like they were here before us.
Yeah.
I think it's our duty to be more educated towards it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even myself, I feel like I need to be more educated. But one step at a time, and just by having the awareness about it and having the conversation, we can go away from today, and even the listeners can be like, okay, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to read up on this. So, because everyone knows someone who's Indigenous. But if we can better understand them, how much stronger would that connection be with them?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot, like, because I've come from a boxing background.
Yep.
There's a lot of Indigenous boxers out there. Like one guy that comes to mind is Paul Fleming. Incredible talent.
He's going to be coming on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out to Paul, man. You're a legend. Love that guy, man. He's a good guy. And he's obviously somebody that's Indigenous, but he's an incredible person.
Yeah.
So, surrounding yourself with people like that and speaking to people like that is really, really good. Yeah.
Take me back to your first night being homeless. What was that like? What's going through your mind as a 14-year-old kid?
I was angry at my mum, man.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, stuff this. I don't need her, blah, blah, blah. And look, I love my mum. She's like my best friend. She's my best friend now for sure. I gave her no choice. I was a very angry kid. But if there's any parents out there that are listening to this, coming from somebody that's gone through what I've gone through, I'd really just want to encourage you to be very careful with your words and how you speak to your children. Because as much as you want to believe that they owe you everything, they actually owe you nothing. And let me tell you why. It was your choice to bring them into this world. It wasn't theirs. They had nothing to do with it. You chose to have that child and bring them into this world, right? So they owe you nothing. And you're all they know. And you're all that they love. You're their entire world. We have our world going on out there. We have everything that's happening with our work and everything like that. You're all they know. So speak to your children with love, with respect. And I'm not saying that you're not going to have these moments where you get upset or angry about that.
Especially when they're teenagers.
Yeah. I don't envy people that are looking after teenagers, because I don't know how I would handle it. But all I'm saying to you is that words stick for a lifetime. And some people, they don't ever get over it. For so long, I used to really think of myself as not worthy because of my childhood. And gaining a better understanding about myself and everything that's happening and all this sort of thing is, I've realized that as a parent, when I am a parent, I hope that I'm able to treat my children with love and obviously a firm hand. I'm not saying, oh no, don't ever discipline your children. I'm just saying be more careful with your words and how you treat them and how you discipline them and how you, speak to them. I think is the most important part. Don't tell your kid that they're annoying or stupid or anything like that. Don't ever do that. Your child is not stupid. They're just trying to find themselves.
That's it.
So, yeah.
And from 0 to 7 is like the imprinting stage, and that shit sticks, man. That shit sticks.
I saw a diagram. So I love studying psychology, and I saw a diagram of a child's brain that was perfectly healthy and a child's brain that had been neglected from 0 to 4. The child's brain that had been neglected from 0 to 4 was half the size almost.
Wow.
Yeah. So the environment you create for your child is so important. And again, I'm going to say, it was your choice to bring that child into this world.
Mm-hmm.
So you owe them everything and they owe you nothing.
That's it. Yeah, that's why one of my big purposes and whys is to create the best environment for my daughter and have the most strongest and deepest relationship with her, because I didn't have that with my dad. So I think me not having that, now I want to have that.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's about not going too deep into it where you're cuddling them and
Yeah.
some people go to extremes.
Yeah.
And it's about having boundaries.
Yeah. And
I think that I learned the other week, and when you have kids, you'll better understand it. Like when your child's doing something, you say no, no, you can't have that, you can't do this. So many people just say no without giving a reason or giving them a voice. Yeah, and to put this into perspective, imagine you had a job and you went to your boss and you said, I want a pay rise. Yeah. And he said no without any reason at all. He just said no, get out of my office. Yeah. How would that make you feel? Yeah, like I don't really matter that much. Exactly. Yeah. If you do that to a child, how's that going to make them feel? They're going to feel not heard, no confidence, no self-worth. They're going to start pushing back. Yeah. Wow. So once you give them a voice, and it's not about giving in to them, but it's about setting strict boundaries and be like, okay, like my daughter loves bananas. It's her favorite food. She gets out of bed and it's like, nah. And
could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. And sometimes she has 2 a day and she still wants another one. I'm like, sorry, you cannot have one. Yeah. But hey, you can have one tomorrow. Yeah. It's about giving reason and giving them a voice. And I was like, okay, how do you feel about that? And she's only 1.5 now, but once she gets older, she'll be able to more like respond better. And by me giving her a voice, when it comes to her teenage years or young adult years, she's going to be confident within herself and have a voice.
Definitely.
And be independent and be strong, because from the get-go, we've created that safe environment for her to do so.
Parenting 101, this guy. This is really good.
As I said, as a parent, you just got to do the best with the tools that you have. Yeah. But I feel like also our obligation as a parent is to be better parents than our own.
100%. And I think what you're saying right there is so perfect. It's like you can either choose to be the same or you can be better. But the first time I became homeless, back to your question, is that I didn't take responsibility for how I would have made my family feel.
Yeah.
So me lashing out and me being an angry person, I didn't give my mom much of an option, because she had been through so much of her life already. She had been through so much violence and frustration and hostility herself. So I put her back in a place of being there again because of my actions.
Yeah.
So it's only now that I'm realizing that I actually gave her no choice. So I'm taking accountability for my own actions in understanding that sometimes we give people no choices but to do what they had to do. Now, I'm taking responsibility for what I've done, and I understand her actions, and I understand why she then for so long I was so angry at her.
You had resent?
I had so much resentment, so much anger. But with that, like I've understood now that if I was in her position, what would I have done? You know what I mean? Like, she had been through so much already in her life, and I was just compounding that by adding more and more to that, you know? So I could understand why she did what she did. But the first night I was homeless, man, I was so angry. So like, remember I went out and just got drunk with my mates and just chilled out. You know, just whatever. But for so long, I was like in and out of people's houses, sleeping on the streets. Wherever I could really find a place to sleep, I would sleep. Like mates, like a lot of the time I'd be staying at my mates' houses. But when they couldn't have me there, I'd be sleeping out. Sometimes I slept down at Coogee Beach, McDonald's playgrounds, park benches, wherever I could. Out in, like, even in the city, like there's like you know where St. Mary's Cathedral is, how there's that underground tunnel?
Yeah.
Towards the train station. I slept in there sometimes, but wherever I could find a place to sleep, I would sleep. But I've said this before, I think on another podcast, is that the hardest time I've ever dealt with, and the time that I really wanted to give up, was in, I think, 2013. I was 23 years old. Middle of winter, I was living in a place. This Job I was working for wasn't paying me properly, so I couldn't pay rent. Got kicked out. I had a car at the time. Living in my car in the middle of winter. I had no blankets, barely any clothes. And man, I'll never forget that feeling of how cold I was because of it was just insane. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, man, screaming out in pain because of how cold I was.
Yeah, wow.
And it was probably the hardest time of my whole life because I just thought to myself, am I so unlovable that no one would take me to their place? Look at the position I found myself in and no one's here to help me. I must be a really, really bad person to be here. If no one really wants to take me in and look after me or care for me, then I don't want to live anymore. And the next week I tried to kill myself.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Was that the only time you tried to kill yourself, or multiple
times? There's one time that is probably it's gonna sound far-fetched, but it's the God's honest truth. I'll put my hand on the Bible right now. Is that my grandma was just about to pass away. 2016 was Melbourne Cup Day, and I remember my grandma. She was my world. She was my life, and she was about to pass away, and I remember taking myself to a cliff face in Vaucluse, and I was going to jump off that day. I used to just go down there to reflect, but something came over me that day, and I just wanted to end my life. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I don't know if you've ever been up to North Bondi.
Yeah.
Now there's that golf course at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cliff face down there. I used to go down there just check. Yeah. And I went there, and I was sitting there. I was bawling my eyes out, and something just came over. It's like, you've been struggling your whole life, can't get ahead. You have this ridiculous coke habit that you just can't shake. You're not worth anything. Just end it. The world would be better without you. And as I got up to jump off, I came to leap forward, and I hear somebody scream out, "Don't do it." Now, this place is not very visible to me. You can't really see me because you have to go down this little pathway to get down there. It's in a little cave. And I went up, and had a look around. No one was really there. And as I came to do it again, I literally hear a roar through my whole body. "Don't do it." And I thought I was losing my mind. I ran myself home and locked myself in my room for 3 days.
Really?
Just properly freaked out.
Were you on drugs at the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was properly freaked out. Then for the next 6 to 7 months, 4 to 5 months, I just completely destroyed myself. Absolute drugs every single day, bendering for 6-7 days sometimes, no sleep. I was 60-something kilos. I was just a shell of myself. And then in March 2017 is when my whole life has shifted.
How did it shift? What was that pivotal moment?
I know there's people on here that aren't really religious, and that's okay, and that everyone's on their own journey, I guess. So my grandma did pass away a couple of days after me trying to jump off a cliff. And after that, I just obviously hit rock bottom. So for 4 months afterwards, I just completely every single day, coke, pills, all this sort of thing. March was leading up to my birthday. So March 3rd, I started partying non-stop. It was from March 3rd to March 10th, I just 7-day bender. Finally fell asleep, and I had a dream that my grandma was disappointed in me, and she wanted me to go back to church. And I felt the dream like it actually happened. I still remember the dream like it happened yesterday. Woke up, Googled churches, and there was a church 800 meters down from where I was staying at the time. Walked in, man, and my whole life just shifted. So I went from being homeless in March to then having 15 people working for my air conditioning company by December that year. So 9 months, homeless in March, December, I was grossing like 35K a week.
Shit.
Yeah. So that was the pivotal point of my life was hearing my grandma disappointed in me. And that just shifted my whole life.
Yeah, wow. just hearing those words and then going to a church and then just flick a switch.
It was so when I went to church, I was obviously just coming off a 7-day bender, so I must have been in a state. The first minute of me being there, someone walks up to me, looks at me and says, "Are you okay, brother?" And just gives me this massive hug. And I literally broke down in his arms.
Yeah, how did that feel, getting a hug from someone?
It was first time I'd felt love in close to like probably 17 years, man. Just to be hugged and embraced by somebody with there was no ulterior motive. It was just like, it was just purely there to see if I was okay, to hug me and just to sort of say, hey man, I'm here for you. It was just a life-changing moment, man. And then that day, obviously, during the service, I sort of said, yeah, this is the time I want to change my life. I want to sort of rely not on my own understanding, but your understanding. And I gave my life to Christ, and my whole life just shifted, man. It was just such a surreal moment for me. And it changed my whole life forever.
Found that purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the first time in my life, I felt love. This love that I can't even explain to you, man. It was just the most insane and surreal feeling that I've ever.
It's living proof that no matter what you go through, you can come out the other side.
100%. And I just want to say this, if there is somebody that is listening to this podcast that feels like giving up, reach out to me. I would love to catch up with you and chat with you, whatever it is, because your life matters. It just takes a small moment to shift it, but your life matters. You matter. Every single person on this earth matters. And I want men to understand and women to understand that no matter what you're going through, it will pass. And times will get better. And things happen to make us better people. And things don't always happen to break you or whatever it is, but you will get past it. There hasn't been one battle in your life, all my life, that we've gone through that we haven't come out the other end of.
Sitting here today, aren't we?
Absolutely. So don't give up. You will make it through this and you will become a better person from it.
Yeah. I like to say, don't let a short-term emotion make a long-term decision.
That is so true. It's the truest thing. Like, if there's people that have survived like jumping off bridges and killing himself, and do you know what they all say? There's a moment as soon as they jump off or whatever it is that they realize that they regret what they've done.
Yeah.
They all regret having taken that step forward or jumping off the bridge or whatever it is, because they realize that life is so precious at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard of someone called Kevin Hines before? No. So he's American. He jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge.
I have heard of that. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yep.
I had him on the podcast and he said as soon as he let go, instant regret.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Your life matters. Every life matters.
Quick word from our sponsor, Betar Media, which was actually formerly known as One Stop Pod. But to be honest, recently I found my love again for videography and content creation. So if you're looking to promote your business through video content, build your personal brand, or even start a podcast, Betar Media covers it all. If you'd love to find out more, follow us on Instagram at Betar Media. So that's BETAR Media. Mention this podcast to get a cheeky little discount off your first studio hire or video shoot. Let's get back to the episode. I want to ask though, when it comes to suicide, what's your opinion? But do you feel like it's selfish?
I don't, man.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's a tricky one, eh?
It takes a lot for a person to get to that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to call somebody selfish for getting to that point where they feel like they can't do it anymore, because I've been there multiple times and I felt like I'm the most unlovable person on earth. So I wouldn't call it selfish, no. I think we need to understand that every single person goes through their own emotions at this. Trauma is the brain's way, and the only way the brain knows. It's like a coping mechanism. If you go through something that's traumatic to me, it might not be traumatic to you.
Yeah.
It's our brain's coping mechanism. So I can't judge somebody if they think something's traumatic and I don't think it's traumatic. We're all going through our own journey and we're all on our own things. I can't say, oh, it's selfish of you if you're trying to kill yourself. I've done it myself so many times because I felt like I was like invisible. I wasn't loved. No one cared about me. The world wouldn't even blink an eye if I wasn't here anymore.
Yeah. See, I've never got to those depths before. So like my point of view is I can understand like to be in that mindset of fuck, no one's going to care if I'm gone. But there's also part of me is like, by you ending it, it doesn't per se end the pain, it just passes it on to your family members.
So if you think that no one cares for you, what pain are you going to be passing on?
True that. That's true. And a lot of times when people are in that position, they feel like no one's going to care anymore.
No one cares anyway. So you think that no one cares, then there's going to be no paper in it. But it's it's good that they're gone. That's what the lies that you feed yourself.
Yeah. The reality is so many people care.
There it is. Everyone does care. The statistic that you gave before, the 1 in 400 trillion of being here, just shows how precious the gift of life is. And for anybody to get to a point where they feel like they can't continue anymore, I have so much sympathy for those people and compassion for those people, because they've also gotten to a point where they feel like they can't continue. And yeah, I think it's heartbreaking to think that we live in a society where that's such a norm these days.
Yeah, we lose 7 men a day from suicide.
Yeah, so I've registered a business recently that I'm trying to sort of get kicked off soon, called The Gentleman & Co.
Yep.
And essentially it's just like men's accessories, like watches, glasses, all this sort of thing. But the kicker for the whole business is going to be, I'm going to create a forum that men can come and speak about their issues and have men globally connecting with them, talking to them and helping them out, because suicide for men is, I think, contributes to 85% of all suicides are male. We live in a society these days where men are being blocked from seeing their children. When they go through a divorce, they lose everything. Even if the mum isn't a healthy mum to keep the children, she's keeping the children.
I can tell a story on that. So yesterday's guest, he was telling me about his upbringing, and his mum was heavily into drugs and abusive and stuff. And so he has a brother, and his dad didn't know that he was his dad. So his dad would come and pick up the brother, but not know that the other son was his actual son until he was like 3 or 5 years old. And the mum, that's actually fucking sickening, bro, recorded him humping a teddy bear doll to try and frame the dad for molesting him.
Wow.
That's how fucked up she was. And it's like, this shit happens on a daily basis.
We live in this feminist world where it's like, oh, men are controlling the world. No, we're not. We aren't. Like, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody, but let's look at the reality of life. Women get everything through divorces.
Mm-hmm.
Women get the children. They have custody of the children over any man, regardless what happens. When I go out to work, I'm not going out to try and earn more than a woman because I'm trying to oppress her. I'm trying to provide for my family.
Yep.
There's 1% of men that are oppressive to women, and that we generalize every man to be like this. Feminism is good. I can understand feminism in terms of like, we want equality. Okay, let's be equal then. See this building that we're in? Built by a man, not built by a woman.
Yep.
Women out there say, if you're a woman out there and you say, I don't need no man, I'm independent. Okay, let's see you out in the building.
Who's building your house?
Who's building your house? You don't need no man? Okay. Who's building your car? Who's servicing your car? Who's picking up your trash?
Mm-hmm. That's why men and women created. It's a yin yang.
Exactly. Women walk in your feminine energy, men walk in the masculinity. I'm not saying to men oppress women. What I'm trying to say is that we're created differently for a reason. Women have a loving and nurturing nature to them that men can't ever have. So with a child, I'm guessing with your relationship, your child gets that loving, nurturing, like your girl, she makes a house a home.
Yep.
She makes food a meal. She's the one that creates that home and loving feeling within the home, right?
Yeah.
We are there to bring our masculinity, bring discipline, to bring our child and raise our children like that. Where the mother can bring a loving, nurturing characteristic to the relationship that men really cannot do. It's not how we're programmed. We can love our child, but we just don't have that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That nature, that characteristic.
I feel like we both have masculine and feminine energy though. And I think for myself, and because I was a mummy's boy, I do tend to tap into my feminine a lot more.
That's good.
Which is why I'm so loving, so caring for my daughter. And I'm not saying if I was masculine, I wouldn't be, but like, I feel like I'm extra.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, she's my world. I'm totally.
Absolutely. But what I'm trying to say is that your girl, she held your daughter in her body for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So she has that connection with her.
Definitely.
That we possess.
And anytime my daughter's sick, who does she go to? Mom.
That's that nurturing side that I'm talking to you. Now, and I'm sorry if this upsets anyone. I'm not trying to upset anyone. What I'm trying to say is that we are created to be different because my flaws is their strength, and their flaws is my strength. We're created to be providers for our family and to be that person in the house, right? And it's good that I love that women are earning money these days and all this sort of thing. I love that. But when we have a household of 2 working parents in there, then the child is missing out on having somebody around all the time. That's where I think it gets a little bit messy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who's raising your children? Somebody else is raising your children then. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the community and the lifestyle where, I guess, we have the wife. She's looking after the child in a way to raise them how they should be raised. Mm-hmm. Like, I wish, for me personally, that I had my mum around more time, but she had to work because she had to provide for us. I love my mum so much, but we got to the point now where it's like women are trying to outdo men, and who's suffering? The next generation.
What's your take on masculinity in society? Do you feel like society in a way is demasculating men?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel guilty for being masculine sometimes.
Mm. And then toxic masculinity, which I believe is just the lack of masculinity.
Yep. I agree with you there. I think it's uneducated how to be masculine because we can't be this post I want to post sometimes about being masculine, and I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't post it because I don't want to offend anybody. It's like this guilt trip over me now to be masculine. But I think the next wave of this feminine movement that's happening, I think it's going to be women returning to their proper feminine energy, man, where they're proud to be mothers, and they're happy to be mums, and happy to raise the children and be somebody that is at home and builds a home together with the husband.
Yeah.
There's a statistic that I saw over in America, man, that since the 70s, when that all shifted, divorce has gone up by like a ridiculous, like hundreds of %, like because of women now, I think that they don't need men, and they're breaking up with a man when they're earning more money or whatever it is than the man, and that's heartbreaking. It's actually heartbreaking to think that because a woman's earning more money than a man, that she thinks that she doesn't need him.
Yeah. The whole polarity of everything's just out of whack. Like, you got women, as you said, making more money. So obviously they're looking for a man that's making more money, right? And what percentage of men are making a lot more money? It's a small pool to fish from, especially with society demasculating men. You know, you got men living in their basements playing games all day. Like, they're not going to be partnered up with someone, and then that affects the population of the next generation.
You know, I think that this topic also feeds into why suicide is so prevalent in men, because we don't know who to be. We don't know what to be. We want to walk in this in this masculine energy, and we want to be providers for our family, and we want to be this strong man, and that's who we're created to be.
We're ridiculed for it.
We're ridiculed for it. So we've lost our identity in a sense, you know? And I think that's the hardest part. Like, for me, I struggle with that so much because I want to be this masculine man, but I don't know how to be anymore because I don't know who I'm going to offend. I don't know what to say or how to be. Or if I want to essentially get married and stuff, I would love for my wife to be a stay-at-home mum to raise my children, so I'm able to be the provider. But if I say that, oh, you're such a sexist.
Yeah, you're a pig. Yeah,
a bigot. You're a bigot, or like, sorry, you're what's the word? Yeah, do say you're a pig. Yeah, like, it's like, how can you say that women should be able to go out there? And I'm not saying that. I think, like, it's okay. Like, if women want to go out there and earn money, that's okay with me. But like, I would like for that because I want my children raised by a parent that's going to be at home with them to feel that love and to feel that nurturing nature that they need to feel.
Yeah. I like that perspective because that's something I've actually been challenged with myself. And I think because me personally, I'm so entrepreneur and business mind driven and always looking to grow and improve. I tried to kind of push my partner down that path as well. And she's like, I don't even care about that stuff. I just want to be at home, be with my family. And I was like, it was a internal battle that I had because I thought, you know,
she's not as driven as me.
Yeah,
of course, but that's not her role, bro.
Yeah, it's something I need to better deal with. And it's hard at the moment because I'm trying to do my best and provide for the family, but at the moment she's having to work to bring money in, and I'm super grateful for her. But yeah, ultimately my goal is to earn enough income and to provide so she doesn't have to do that. She can just do look after my daughter and hopefully future children, and then do what she wants.
And that's her role, bro. Her role is to make the house a home. And it's our job as men. And I think there is a lot of pressure on us, don't get me wrong. But I think there is a lot of pressure on men in general, to be honest. But I think for me personally, is that I want to get to a place where I'm able to provide for my wife and my family and let her be the mom and be the caretaker of the home. And I don't mean that in like a sexist way. I mean that in a way that in the 70s that worked so well. 70s, 60s, 70s, there wasn't really that much divorce, right?
Yeah.
Now there's so much, like I think it's like 1 in every 4 relationships end up in divorce, or marriages end up in divorce.
Yeah. I do a lot of work for older couples and they're still together in like 70, 80 and they're happy. And it's like, that rarely happens now.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so much, I think there's a few parts that play in that, but there's so much choices out there. Like you go through a breakup, what do? You distract yourself. You just want to Hinge or Bumble or whatever it is, and that's it. But I think finding somebody that you're actually going to fight for and that's going to fight for you, and just sticking things out and I've got my roles, you've got your roles. And that doesn't mean that we're sexist towards each other. Like, it means that we understand that by nature, we are created differently, and that's okay. I can't do things that a woman can do. I can't give birth.
Some men are trying these days.
Bro, don't even get me on that topic. Please don't get me on that topic, man. I will not stop, bro. But yeah, some men are trying, but it's not possible.
They think it is. That's a whole different conversation,
bro. Don't open that. Don't open that. Yeah, that's true, man. I can't give birth. I can't do that sort of stuff, man. And a woman can do that. And I need to understand that that's our role differences. Why are women trying to become men and men trying to become women? Why are we trying to take those roles on? That's not who we're designed to be. It's actually not.
And let me ask you this. What about single parents who have to play both roles? Mm-hmm. How does that dynamic work when you kind of have to play both roles in a way?
Okay. When you have to play both roles, that's understandable. As a single parent, that's okay. But if you're a man trying to play the role of a woman, you're always going to fall short. And when you're a woman trying to play the role of a man, you're going to fall short. Mm-hmm. Because, again, we're designed in a certain way, and that's understandable, anything like that. But look, I've got a massive respect for single parents. Honestly, I've got a huge, huge respect for single parents. I think their resilience, their strength, the way that they handle the situation, I think is absolutely incredible. And I've got nothing but respect for the single parents. But if you find yourself in a position where you have a chance to have both parents in a relationship and to fight for it, I would highly suggest to do so. I saw a video the other day on Instagram of this kid screaming before bedtime. He's I don't want to go to bed. And he's crying and screaming, and his mum's recording it. The dad, you see him walking in the background, walks into the room. He's hey, get into bed. The boy stops crying, jumps into bed and be quiet.
Yeah.
That's a difference. There's a discipline that comes from a man. And I'm not saying that women can't be disciplinary and stuff, but what I'm trying to say is that as a child, we look to our parents to be role models. The mum gives us that loving aspect and that loving element, where the dad teaches us to be the strong and resilient sort of that sort of that powerhouse, But yeah, I think for parents that have to do it singly, I've got a lot of respect for them. But then you do have to walk in both roles, I guess, for sure.
Yeah.
Finding mentors for kids that have to that have a single parent, I think is very important.
Mm-hmm. And coming back to men, you mentioned so many men, they sit on fucking Tinder and shit like that. And a big thing that I believe is we have men without purpose, and a man who has no purpose seeks pleasure. Yeah. So that's why they're going to that. And then it's causing divorces and breakups and poor relationships, all that kind of shit, because there's so many men without actual purpose in life.
They get bored.
Yeah.
If you're a man that cheats, I don't bad math out of that, but I think you just need to reevaluate what happens. If you're going out and trying to find fulfillment somewhere else, but you're a marriage, you could put in that energy into your marriage, man. If you're a woman that cheats, then the same thing. Put the energy that you're putting out there into your marriage to make that marriage work for your children. The children, you need to be doing this to keep your family intact, because I think that's the most important thing for a child, is to have stability like that. Is when there's a 2-parent household, I think it causes the child has a better chance of like growing up with a decent amount of self-confidence with itself. Because as a child, when you go through breakups or divorces or anything like that, child automatically thinks it's their fault, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Oh, what did I do to make mommy and dad break up? Don't like, if there's a lot of options out there, that's cool. But like, I think true strength in a man and true sort of masculinity is shown with a man that can stick by his woman. I think that's the truth right there, man. Stick by your woman, man. Or vice versa.
Yeah. The question that though, if it's just not working, what example is that to your child of a healthy relationship then?
Why wouldn't it work? It's your choice to make it work.
True.
Right?
Let's say you're trying and the other person isn't.
That's look, and that happens. That really, really does happen. But like, you can make a choice. Like, if it's not working to the point where, okay, I'm not saying to ever stay in a toxic relationship or a bad relationship, but you're being treated poorly or anything like that. But if there's 2 parties at the table that are trying to make it work, then it should work. Absolutely. But if there is somebody in the relationship that's not treating you well, like physically or emotionally, I can understand that, and I wouldn't want a child growing up in that environment anyway. So yeah, I think I do understand what you're saying there for sure.
I love how this conversation has turned into parenting and relationships.
I'm not even a parent.
The thing is, just by like what you're speaking about, when you do become a parent, bro, I honestly think you're going to be a great dad.
Thank you so much, man.
Just your mindset, what you've been through, being able to pass those lessons down. You're going to be an amazing dad. Whenever that happens,
it really is a gift, man. And I look at it as a gift. I don't look at it as a burden, or like I'm going to be a child that like it's going to be a burden on me. I see every life as a gift, and I see children as a gift. I see children as the most influential beings on this earth, man. When a child sees the world with such amazing awe and sees something new, and that like their eyes light up, and we can take example of that. And a child can be honestly so influential to any person's life. So I think any child is a gift to the world. And when we see it from a purpose like that, or a perspective like that, I think it changes everything.
Definitely. Even for myself, if I have a bad day, I come home and my daughter's just smiling in a big blue eyes, and it's just like,
you're happy, right?
Whatever happened in during the day just does not matter right now. It's just like being present with my daughter and just giving that love and affection.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're a massive blessing.
Yeah.
My biggest achievement thus far.
There you go, man. And that's because like you obviously, the way that you've been speaking about your daughter, man, you must be an amazing dad as well.
I appreciate it.
You see it as a gift, bro, and you see her as your obligation to look after her and to love her and to care for her. Like, you never felt that love. I'm not saying you never felt that love, but you like the way that you needed the love wasn't shown to you sometimes, right? Yeah. And you're making sure that your future generations aren't going to feel that. Mm-hmm. Because it's not only to your daughter that's going to feel that love, it's to their children, to her children, and to their children, and so forth.
It's breaking that cycle, eh?
Breaking that cycle, bro. And I think you're doing an amazing job at that.
Thank you. It means a lot hearing that. Talk to me about Calm Palm.
Yeah.
What is it?
I actually got you some Calm Palms.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'll bring them to you after this.
Yeah, okay, appreciate it, bro.
No worries. So Calm Palm, October 2021, we're in lockdown. That was our last lockdown. And my emotions were so crazy, man. Like, I was really, really up, and then really down and really up. I feel like I'd been struggling with concentration my whole life and staying focused. I'd read one page of a book and then stop and get distracted. I'd be like, my mind was everywhere else but being present. And the way that I can describe it most is that it's almost like being in autopilot your whole life. It's like I never felt really present in the moment.
Yeah, okay.
Got onto the subject of ADHD somehow, and everything I read, I was like, man, this sounds so similar to what I struggle with. Kept reading, and I was like, man, I've definitely got ADHD.
Wasn't those TikTok videos diagnose yourself?
Nah, bro. This is real. I was like, I was like, sheesh, I think I've got ADHD. Try to find a psychiatrist, because they're the only ones that can prescribe you.
Yeah.
Impossible. 3 weeks of looking, man. Couldn't find it. Either their books were closed or they had a 9-month waiting period. I just became resigned to the fact I was not going to find one. Stopped looking for a week. A week later, I was like, no, I need it. Like, my emotions are literally too messed up right now. I need to go see someone. Googled again, psychiatrist near me. First one that came up that I didn't see before, man. And I rang them up and they're like, yeah, we have an availability this week. Actually, would you like to come in? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, that'd be amazing. I was like, how much is it? Oh, it's $750 an hour.
They know how to charge, eh?
Sheesh. So, you know what? I just need to do this. I need to get in there and get it done. Went in there and saw the psychiatrist. First one was just like filling out forms. It was just I could have done this stuff at home. It was just a waste of time. It's like, you need to come in again. I was like, all right, fine. I'll come in one more time, give it one more go, see what happened. Went in the second time. The whole time this psychiatrist is trying to sell me stuff. Hey, you need a $15,000 brain scan. You need this, you need this, you need this. And by like halfway through, I was like, man, this guy's an idiot. Like, I'm never going to come back here. Pulls out this device and goes, hold on to this. I was like, what does it do? He goes, no, just hold on to it. You'll be sweet. Man, 10 minutes of holding on to this device, I felt like I was like, he goes, how do you feel? I said, truthfully, doc, it feels like I've smoked a joint. Like, I'm about to pass out. He goes, that's how it's meant to make you feel. First time in my life, bro, my mind was still. He goes, order one. I ordered one. It was $100 USD. Next morning, I wake up and it's literally like, as soon as I open my eyes, I could outsource this for so much cheaper. Done a massive amount of research, ordered like 8 or 9 from overseas. They were coming in. The one from America came. That's where I ordered it from. And then the one from overseas came that I had ordered from an independent party. The exact same device, bro. Found it for like a lot cheaper. Started. And then from there, I was like, I could definitely make a business out of this. And from there, man, it's just been a progression of just growing the business and becoming like, it's now, I think, one of the leading sleep sleep aid products in the world now, man. So like in the first 6 months, only had 100 orders. Some orders had like 2 or 3 in there. That's right. So from October to March, 100 orders. March to August is when August was when I reached my 1,000th order. From August to now, I've had 8,000 orders.
Nice.
So it's gotten to the point now where it's really starting to take off and
it's compounding.
Oh man, it's gone crazy. So first 12 months, only had 1,000 orders. The next 12 months almost, it's like I'm up to 8,000 and
8x, bro.
Yeah, 8x it. So it's just every month it's just getting higher, bigger, and more. So yeah, it's been a phenomenal journey, man. I was a tradie before, so to come into this sort of field was a little bit funny for me and a little bit weird because I'm not using my hands and I'm not trying to be like use my physical force, and just, it's mentally exhausting though. Some days I'm working 20 hours, packing orders, worrying about my website, doing the marketing, all this sort of thing. Love it, man. Absolutely love what I do now.
So how exactly does it like work? Like, what does it do?
All right, so everyone's got an acupuncture point in the hand here.
Yep.
That's connected to something called the triple warmer meridian. So the triple warmer meridian runs all the way down your arm, into your chest, up here, and then into your temple. This acupuncture line is responsible for your fight, flight, and freeze responses. So when that acupuncture point is activated, it calms your body, calms your neurons, and gets you into a place of calm and stillness.
So this would help with anxiety?
Yeah, massively.
Because I'm someone that struggles with anxiety from time to time.
How's your sleep?
It's not too bad, actually. Yeah. So I mouth tape when I go to sleep, so I only breathe through my nose, and unless my daughter wakes me up, I sleep pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. So do you feel like you feel refreshed in the morning when you wake up, or do you feel a bit tired still?
Bit of both.
Yeah. Some nights obviously going to be a little bit more, you're going to sleep a lot better than others. But when your sleep is poor, I'm guessing your anxiety is going to probably be a lot worse.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you know why that is?
Because you're stressed and like.
So when we have 2 parts of our brain that control our emotions, the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is like the CEO of the brain that looks after everything. And when you're sleep deprived, the CEO, which is the prefrontal cortex, disconnects from the amygdala, which is your emotional control. Now, without the CEO looking after it, your emotions just go all over the place and your amygdala just goes out of control because it's not able to be regulated by the CEO anymore.
Yeah.
So what happens is that people, when the sleep isn't well, their emotional health is horrible because of that. Sleep, I will say, is the single most important thing to a human body and a human person, like just single-handedly. We're the only mammals on this earth that push past tiredness.
Yeah. What's your take on the whole grind hustle culture?
It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah?
Yep. If you wanted to get up at 4 a.m., go to bed at 9 p.m. Get 7 hours. You need 7 hours of sleep. It's needed because two things will happen, right? There's degenerative diseases that will happen as you get older. Your sleep gets worse, and that's why Alzheimer's and all that sort of stuff really sort of starts to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And your physical health actually deteriorates as well when your sleep isn't well. So people think, oh, I can sleep later on. I'll sleep when I'm dead. You will sleep when you're dead because you will die earlier.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Sleep needs to be, and this is something that we don't really learn. We're only learning now. So sleep is the most important thing to a human. You can go 4 or 5 days without eating, right? That the human body can eventually do. I'm not saying it would be comfortable.
But you can do it.
You can do it. Try to go 4 or 5 days without sleeping.
Zombie.
Bro, you wouldn't be able to.
Mm.
Your body would just automatically shut down.
Yeah.
That shows that sleep is the most important thing.
I had another guest and he was speaking about sleep and said exactly what you said about how important it is. And he's like, a lot of us think, oh, go to bed at 9, wake up at 5, we get 8 hours of sleep. But it's not actually 8 hours of sleep because it takes our body like 40 minutes to an hour to actually get into that sleep.
Yeah.
So go to sleep an hour earlier and then you get the full 8 hours.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree with him. And there's 4 stages of sleep. There's obviously the lead up, and then there's REM sleep. REM sleep is the most important. That's when we dream. That's when we have a really deep sort of healing sleep, right? So when you sleep, so have you ever had a day that's been really exhausting, like physically and mentally exhausting, and you feel really clouded at the end of the day? You're like
Most days for me, bro.
Yeah, well, that's it. So you know what happens is that during the day, your brain is working so tiresome that there's it releases these protein into your brain, and then there's leftover protein that then goes in between the receptors that then make you feel foggy.
Mm-hmm.
When you sleep, electrical activity goes through the brain and then washes away the leftover protein. So when you're not having enough sleep or deep sleep, the electrical wave isn't able to wash away the leftover protein from the day before, and that's why people feel foggy and shitty the next day when they wake up. There's a full process that happens to the brain and the body when you're sleeping, man. There's that healing element of your body, like when you sleep after a big workout, that's where a lot of the growth happens. And then also for the brain, that's most important as well.
This is interesting. I definitely have to try one out, bro.
Yeah, I've got something in the car. I'm sorry I didn't bring it. Sorry guys, you didn't see how to see it.
It's ironic that you went from being homeless and struggling with sleep to now having a sleep brand, essentially.
Yeah. Yep. Mate, well, that's why I go out and I help the homeless now with it, because buying a sleeping bag, I know I wish I had a sleeping bag at times when I was homeless, because especially in winter, it's tough. If anybody wants to come out and help us sometime, anybody can come out and help. Like,
I have to come out sometime.
Yeah, for sure, man. It would be amazing to have you guys come out, but just to help people sleep a little bit better. And I think it works hand in hand to be able to give people better night's sleep with a sleeping bag while we're helping people sleep in general.
I love that, bro. What's the next 5 years look like for you?
That's a really great question. Look, I hope to be married and have a family and stuff, but in terms of business wise, I definitely want to start expanding out a lot more. If anybody's out there wanting to start a business and fear is holding you back, just take the leap, man. I think people hold back a lot because of fear. And when I let go of that fear, I think that's when my life really began. But the next 5 years for me, I'm starting a company I registered it this week actually, that's going to help people start e-commerce businesses called Start to Finish E-commerce. So literally helping people build websites, helping with marketing, helping with domains, helping with everything. So it's start to finish pretty much. That's the next project. And then, just my life goal is to help people become financially free.
Yeah.
I want people to break out of the rat race that we find ourselves in. All my businesses have a purpose behind them. Can't pun with the homeless stuff. And
so does a certain percentage go to homeless?
Yeah. So every sale, we donate $1.
Yeah. Okay.
So say you purchase, we put $1 aside. Say I've had 1,000 orders.
You said you've sold about $8,000 worth of stock, like 8,000 orders.
Yeah.
So about $8,000 has gone to the homeless.
Yeah. It cost me cost me like $75 per sleeping bag. And I think I've bought over, I think I've bought probably like 70, 80 sleeping bags. Then we buy bags for them to go into. We buy toothbrushes, we buy socks, we buy undies, face wipes, all this sort of stuff, all to go back into the community.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You should be so proud of what you're doing and
Thank you, man.
the impact that you're having in society, because it's definitely going to create a beautiful change.
You know, the most beautiful thing about this is, Nick, is that when I go out to do this, people, like, I put it on my social media and people are like, yeah, I'd love to come along. And then when they come along, bro, I love to educate them about the homeless situation and what they can do to help people. So a couple of times ago that I went, is that I had this couple come with me, and man, their eyes were open to the situation so much. Like, when we walk past homeless people, we don't really know what to do. We don't know what to say. We don't know how to help them. And to have somebody there to then arc and then show them what can be done and how to help them, stuff like that, was just as much of a gift to them as it was for me, to see their I guess their eyes light up with realization that they could be doing a little bit more, instead of just walking past and thinking that these people are just going to buy drugs or whatever it is. I think the realization that they could be doing just a little bit to help somebody, I think for me was such a beautiful thing, because if I teach you how to do something, then you can teach somebody else how to do something.
It's a ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect. And that's all I want to do, man. All I want to do is just help people. That's like my life goal. Money means nothing to me, honestly. It really doesn't. Money comes and goes, but it's those memories of helping people that will stick with me forever. And there's a saying that I absolutely love. It's that, I'm not sure if you know the story of the Good Samaritan. So there's a story in the Bible of the Good Samaritan. This guy gets beat up on the side of the road. Now, the Samaritans were looked down upon in that time, just for the people that they were. And this guy gets beat up on the side of the road. A priest walks past, they don't do anything. A rabbi walks past, doesn't do anything. And then this Samaritan walks past, that's looked down upon, picks up this guy, puts him in a accommodation for a little bit, pays for everything, for food, all this sort of stuff, until this guy gets better. And someone said to me one time is that you can't be a good Samaritan without a good Samaritan's purse. And what they're essentially saying is that you need to have money to be able to help people. And all I'm doing now is just trying to gain enough money to help the world become a better place. And that's all I give a crap about, man. All I care about is helping people, whether from all walks of life, whether you have money to be able to do something with yourself or you have nothing. My life goal is to help you become a better person and become financially free. That's all I care about.
I love that.
Yeah.
We only need a certain amount of money to sustain our lifestyle that we desire, and then anything else we should be able to give back.
100%. You know how much I started Compound with?
How much?
$1,000.
Really?
Yeah. And now we 4x that daily. So, like, you can start. Everyone thinks, I haven't got this much to start a business with. That's what you need. Buy a few products, do what you need to do. It's okay. Homeless people. If you're somebody out there that thinks that homeless people can just change their life, give them an opportunity to change their life then. If you're a business owner, hire a homeless person. It's that easy. Do it.
Yeah, because they do it for like disabled people and stuff like that. Why not homeless?
I would honestly love to have a hire business, like a labor hire business for homeless people. Put them in a home. Imagine having 10 or 15 people in a home that then go to work and have access to psychiatrists and psychologists and all sorts of stuff to actually benefit themselves. I'm not saying every single homeless person wants to be helped. It's like some people just don't want to be helped. That's okay.
But if the tools are there, and for the ones that actually want to be helped,
yeah,
at least they can gain that.
There it is. Do you know the most impactful story I've ever experienced in my life? There was a homeless guy. Have you ever been to Central Station?
Yep.
So across, you know where the bus station is?
Yep.
Like on I think it's George Street, and then across the road there's like the KFC and the McDonald's and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. I was doing a personal training course there. I was in school for it. This was probably like 10 years ago now. Jeez. I was walking past this section of like the street there, and you know how they have those fire exit doors like that are in the actual walls and they're a bit closed off. Like I could hear somebody crying in there. I sort of popped my head in, and there was a guy like just leaning up against the wall, bawling his eyes out. Homeless guy. Like, what's wrong, mate? He goes, my dad kicked me out about 6 weeks ago because I'm Muslim. I brought a girl home and he didn't approve of her and he kicked me out. Then when I moved into the other place, I brought her home as well and they didn't want any girls there, so they kicked me out, so I find myself homeless now. This guy went from having a loving home with his parents to being kicked out, to then trying to find a place to live, got kicked out of there as well. Had nowhere to go, had been homeless for 6 weeks. He looked like he was in a bad state, mate. Really bad state. I said, look, mate, I've only got $50 left to my name. I'm going to give it to you. I rang up Salvation Army. They had like a shelter not too far from there. So I rang them up, told them where to go, went down there. About 4 years later, I was sort of trying to change my life around. I was down in Bondi. This guy's staring at me. Bro, what the is this guy staring at? Like, what's wrong with you? Kept staring, walks up to me. He goes, is your name John? I was like, yeah. He goes, you don't remember me, do you? So, no. He goes, you helped me out like 4 years ago. I was homeless on George Street. Walks back over to his table, picks up his daughter, comes back over to me. He's got a baby daughter. He goes, that day changed my life, man. I went to the Salvation Army. They took me in, and then from there I changed my life. I've got a family now.
Holy shit.
I've got his number, man. I still keep it.
That's amazing.
$50 changed that man's life forever. He's got a family now. So don't ever discount what a small change, a small gift to somebody like that can do. Everyone thinks, oh, homeless people want to be there. Who wants to be homeless? Who wants to be rejected? Who wants to be neglected? No one wants to be there, man. So my life goal is to educate people about homeless situations, to change the homeless community, change the homeless climate within our governments, everything like that. Educate. Because I've been there and I've come out of it. There's a 1% chance that I was going to give up drugs at the rate that I was taking it, and I got out of it. And there's like a 5% chance of me getting out of homelessness from where I was to being where I am now.
Defy the odds, mate.
Yeah. Living a walking miracle. But I want other people to be that as well.
And they can.
Everyone can.
Yeah, wow. I appreciate you coming out here and having this beautiful, deep conversation and really shifting my mindset when it comes to what we were speaking about around the homeless. Yeah, it really puts life into perspective. When are you going out next?
Next week.
Yeah?
Yep, Colin's going to come with us. So if you want to come out, man, let me know.
Let me know. And
absolutely.
If it fits the schedule, I'll definitely come out.
Every morning if you want, you can come out.
Awesome, bro. Man, you're a beautiful soul doing amazing things in this world, and I'm excited to follow the journey. We have a closing tradition on the podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest.
Sheesh.
Now, I guess the question, we've kind of gone through it, but the question is, what's the deepest thing you have gone through and how did you overcome it?
The deepest thing I've gone through would be homelessness, for sure. And again, I'll probably say that the way that I came through it was my faith. I know there's a lot, you might be somebody that's faith driven or whatever, but as soon as I stepped foot in that church, man, my life shifted. And I believe God that He has changed my life. I struggled with homelessness for 12 years, drug addiction for 12 years, and at the snap of a finger, my whole life just shifted and my whole life just changed. And it's not by my own strength, man. I could have done it because I tried to do it many times. So that was my wake up moment for sure. And if anything I've been taught is that everyone deserves grace, everyone deserves a second chance, everyone deserves love. And it's because of the things that I've gone through that I've been forgiven of my stuff, that I'm able to now forgive other people.
Where can the people find and support what you do?
Go to my website, calmpalm.com.au, and just buy one of my products or buy 7 or buy whatever.
I'll put all the links in the description anyway. But John, thank you, man. It's been such a beautiful conversation. Yeah, wow.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. And again, I'm just going to say this. If you are struggling with your self-worth and you feel like you're not worthy of anything, I'm here to tell you that you are, and that you are loved, and that there's so many people out there that would be so heartbroken if you ever left this earth. So reach out to me. if you are feeling like that, and I will help you as much as I can.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.